What's up, Falcon fans and non-Falcon fans? Thank you for tuning in to my first ever NFL Atlanta Falcons 7th round mock draft. If you guys like this type of content, let me know by hitting that like button, subscribing to your boy, and share it with your friends and foe. If you guys dislike this video, hit that dislike button. It won't hurt your boy's feeling. Well, maybe just a little bit. I want to clarify something for you guys. This is not how I think the Atlanta Falcons will go in the NFL draft because we haven't seen what they have done in free agency just quite yet. So this is just my observation, what we need right now. So on that note, the first two picks will be kind of controversial for you guys. Hopefully you guys won't kill me. But on that note, I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. With the 8th overall pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Jordan Addison, wide receiver out of USC. I clearly understand we need defense, but hear me out just for a second, okay? We can all clearly see where the NFL is headed when it comes to the offensive prowess. The defense is getting screwed over so many times, even though I may agree or disagree with some of these playing calls, but we clearly can see that the offense is going to have more leeway than the defense. And we all saw the Super Bowl, what Juju Smith did against James Bradbury on that 3rd and 8 conversion. The reason why I chose Addison because he's fantastic on the field. He can help Desmond Ridder to develop a lot more. He can definitely help the run game, especially with the play action pass. And also he can help this wide receiving core to be even more when you want to get first downs or check points or hopefully touchdowns at the end. And besides, this is definitely a Falcons pick in real life, so let's not kid ourselves here. As a huge Georgia Tech fan, by the way, I personally got to witness Jordan Addison to dominate against Tennessee, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, Clemson, Duke, Miami, North Carolina, Virginia, Syracuse, Wake Forest, and Michigan State, and he won the Belinda the Coffin Award when he was in Pitt, and then he transferred to the Trojans, where there was a lot of talent at the wide receiver position with Washington, Williams, Rice, and Ford, and even still being the receiving yard leader is pretty incredible defeat, I think. Against Stanford, he was outstanding. Arizona State, he was outstanding. Utah, pretty good. The Burns, excellent. That was his best game as a Trojan, and it just shows no matter who's the quarterback or what type of offensive prowess he plays in, he's still going to dominate the field. Now, let's talk about Addison's strengths and what weakness he could prove on. So, by the way, there's a lot of laundry lists I could have done, but I decided to pick two major key factors why he's so great, and then two major key factors what he truly needs to improve on. So, let's dive into it real quick. Separation was a huge benefactor on why he dominated the ACC with over 1,593 yards and scoring 17 touchdowns. Because using his athleticism to make sure he doesn't get jammed when the ball gets snapped, his footwork mechanics, where he gets that extra 2 to 5 yard step before the corner even realized what's going on, the twitchiness he sees when he's using his hip movement to try and delimit the corner, the fakes and the route running were superb and superior to the corners because they didn't realize how, where, when, and why, and what happened. Meaning he knows how to use the flat, the comeback, the out, the corner, the go, the post, the in, the dig, the curl, and the slants. That's a lot to learn, and he knows it. Doesn't mean he mastered it, it just means he knows it. His second most dangerous weapon he has is speed. The explosive burst into his steps, creating separation before the defenders has been able to react to it, is something monstrous. And I think it would definitely help Drake London because everyone says that he doesn't have extreme speed, but he has decent speed. Well, guess what? This cat, number 3, he has extreme Arcanine speed. So that's why I think he gets all these advantages right up the gate. And so, definitely a keeper in my books. So now let's talk about some concerns I have. Now, drops are definitely a concern, especially when you're a wide receiver, because we need you to be trustful with those golden God hands for all those opportunities, like in 3rd downs and 4th downs and hopefully touchdowns in the red zone. And for him to have over 21 drops in Pitt, I understand he was targeted over 160 times, and consider that with 21 drops is really not that bad. But on paper right here, it looks terrible. But you know, last year he improved on that, only dropping 2. So that's something to be very happy about, but still in the back of my mind, kind of concerning, but not too much. And the last one we'll talk about is his size. So for me personally, I think this is an overblown, ridiculous statement, but you know how NFL analysts and a lot of fans feel about wide receivers who are not 6'3" or 6'5" and weigh over 210 to 230 pounds. He weighs 175 pounds, and he's going to get the Devontae Smith treatment where people are going to slack on him because, he might not take hits well, or he will get hit and take licks and get injury prone too easily. I think that's crap. If, like what Deion Sanders always says, if you can ball, you get the call. And boy, on tape, he balls. So I think this whole size crap is ridiculous, and that's the only reason why I put that there, because I know people are going to say that that's his weakness. It's really not. But carry on to the next one. With the 44th overall in the second round pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Joe Tippmann, center out of Wisconsin. This is a great pick for the Falcons because Wisconsin players, especially the offensive line, have great track records like Joe Thomas, Ryan Ramczyk, Travis Frederick, and Logan Brass, who are all excellent in the NFL and have been either first rounders to fourth rounders. So the mantras for the Badgers have been pretty consistent throughout 20 to 30 plus years, and besides, Nebraska's players are really famous for their offensive linemen, and that's why I think he has that country strength, something that grit and determination that he can anchor this Falcons offensive line. You need a center like we had with Alex Mack when we went to the Super Bowl, and for him being there with Matt Ryan, that really helped the Falcons running game a lot. And we need someone who knows how to control the defensive line when it comes to the pass rush, because he can handle the pass rush. I've seen him in play where he just absolutely bulldozes all the defensive tackles, don't even get near his quarterback, and I want a guy like that for Desmond Ridder. Tippmann has played for the Badgers for over 4 years. He was redshirted in 2019, but then played in 2020 and only in 2 games as a right guard, but then he finally got his chance to play center. In 2021, he paved the way for the number 2 rushing offense in the Big Ten by averaging 210 yards per game. That's pretty incredible. In 2022, PFF stated that Tippmann was the offensive line best run blocking grade, only allowing 1 sack and 5 pressures over 338 passing blocking snaps. So now let's talk about his strengths and weaknesses and why I chose the center as our second round pick, because of his athleticism and speed to boot. He can drive defenders on the ground without any problems. Tippmann showed good awareness, reaction, and to the twist, and the stunts, and the pass protection, and plays well in outstanding sweet run plays. And that's what the Falcons really want to hammer in. These sweet run plays where Tyler Edger go down the side. But I also would like to notice that he doesn't fear the defensive line, and that's what you want in offensive line. That even though you might get outplayed or might get outshined or might get out dominated by the size or the rodness or the scariness of these defensive players, he won't back down from a challenge. And I've seen that plenty of times in games where he does not falter on that, and that's what I like about it. And that goes to my second reason why I think he's a fantastic player: experience. He consistently plays beyond the whistle and can anchor against bigger defensive linemen. And that's what I'm really hungry and excited to see, because that's what we need for the Falcons. We need that nastiness, that grit, to make sure you can't even mess with our quarterbacks or even touch our running backs or even our fullbacks. You can't even touch nobody on this field when you're playing against us. And that's what he shows. For my concerns is flat. He commits too many holding penalties with 6 in 2022. Hopefully he can outgrow that, but I just kind of noticed with him, not giving up to the whistle, that could be his Achilles heel. But for now, I'm hoping Arthur Smith can coach that for him. While I was trying to break down film for Tippmann, I only watched 12 games and for the past 2 seasons for the Badgers, and kind of noticed that he was dealing with smaller defenders, either defensive end, defensive tackles, sometimes linebackers, and once a safety, where he couldn't get his hand properly because they were dipping way too quickly for him to even push up. And so his leverage skills is not the best when it comes to smaller defenders, but hopefully in the NFL he won't have too much of a problem with that. With the 75th pick in the 3rd round, the Atlanta Falcons select Derek Hall out of Auburn, defensive end, who's a monster in the trenches, and he can put his hands on the dirt, or he can stand up while getting after the quarterback. And it shows, even though Auburn hasn't been good for the past 4 years, I'm pretty sure. He still had that pretty dominant game back in 2021 where he had 3 sacks against Alabama. Even though Alabama did win, but it was like overtime. It was a fantastic game, and I clearly can tell that he's hungry. He doesn't give up a lot of plays, and that's why I think the Falcons will be excited to grab this young man. What I like about Derek Hall, that he stick with Auburn, even though they have been changing a lot of coaching staffs, a lot of players rotation, but at the end of the day, he still wants to do right for his organization, and he put up numbers to try to help them win games, even though they weren't good as a whole, and that just shows the character and the grit and the determination he is willing to put in and out, and that's why I think the Falcons will love this guy. So what's really awesome about Hall is that he was actually a linebacker before they converted him to a defensive end, because the coaching staff realized he can still use his powerful hands to block sheds a lot easier when he's going to the pass rush, and Hall shows excellent instincts. So that's why he got a lot of sacks when he was a linebacker last year, and the ability to quickly locate the ball, and that's something you want in a defensive end where you have to go straight and go dive into the offensive line and hopefully get the quarterback, and he hardly missed any tackles, so that's a good thing. So now what also is his strength is the zone coverage. Falcons would love him to drop back a lot of times when we're going against shifty tight ends and also running back. So Hall shows quickness, flexibility to react and locate the ball going down the field. That's excellent because we need to stop players on third down. He also shows enough speed to succeed in the backfield as pursued, and that's very fantastic for a defensive end to do that. So now let's talk about his weaknesses. Not a starter yet at defensive end. I understand that because he was a linebacker now transitioning. So for him, he has to make sure he set the edge on every down, but he really doesn't do that consistently enough for me to see him creating a lot of pressures, and so that's why the lack of sacks from this year from previous years is a little bit off. But you know what? He can grow to that, so I'm not too worried about that, but that's always in the back of your mind when you're drafting a defensive end. How many times has he put his hand on the dirt? How many witnesses he sees on the battlefield? And the experience is just not there yet, so that's why he's not a second rounder to a first rounder. He's a third to a fourth rounder. So now onto the running game. Hall shows poor instincts when locating the ball against running backs, more particularly the scat back group, like Alvin Kamara, Giovanni Bernard, Damian Lewis, David Johnson, and etc. And he just doesn't have the body type to quickly capture them. With the 110th pick in the 4th round, the Atlanta Falcons select cornerback Caillou Kelly out of Stanford. The reason why I love this pick because of the potential what he could bring to the Falcons with the knowledge he already has because of his father, Brian Kelly, who played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 2nd round, 1998 through 2007. He won a Super Bowl, and on that Super Bowl run, he had over 8 interceptions and a total 22 interceptions with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Caillou already knows what it takes to be great in the NFL. He won't get shocked. He understands how to maneuver, how to make sure he doesn't get caught up with the wide receivers because his father has taught him in theory. Doesn't mean it will work out, but you know what? It just gives you a little bit more advantage to coming in. Because of Kelly's background tree, he got to start early in his freshman year in 2019. Kelly played in 12 games, started each of the 9 final games. In the grand total scheme, he played 4 years for Stanford, collecting 148 tackles, 1 sack, 23 pass deflections, pretty good, 1 forced fumble, and 3 interceptions. So you know he has a keen eye for the ball when it comes towards him. One of Kelly's biggest strengths is his eyesight. His ball skills are very good. Kelly tracks the ball well down the field, has the hands to grab them, coordinate, comes away with the interception even when he isn't getting targeted that often. And what do I mean by that is I'll give you a good example. The Drake London play from 2 years ago where the Trojan quarterback threw to Drake London, but then Drake London kind of popped the ball and Kelly happened to see it, grabbed the ball and took it to the house for a touchdown to help them win that game. So yes, he's very good at that type of mentality. His second biggest strength is flip his hips to stick with the wide receiver no matter what happens. A lot of good quality experience in man coverage and has press man abilities. Kelly is very complete when it comes to that subject, so he won't get beat down the burners for long ass touchdowns, because he will always be by his man no matter what the situation comes for. So one reason why Kelly's not being talked about a first rounder corner, because of his footing and angles. Kelly gets sloppy with his backpedaling. That can definitely cause him trouble when he sees something that he shouldn't be seeing. Can be sluggish when transitioning to close on the ball. Vertical wide receivers pretty much mean like fly routes, go routes, and streak routes are plays that wide receiver just go straight. But good thing for him, the vertical passing game isn't used very often in the NFL anymore. But in colleges, this is very well-known tactics to use for a offensive coordinator's plan of game of action. And I also realized he's not really set up right when he's in press and squares up to the target. So he needs to be man-to-man to do his thing, to do real damage. Cover 2 is not his weakest point, but it's definitely not his strength. And also notice when he missed tackles, that's one of the biggest problems I see why he's not going higher, because Kelly struggles against tackling more physical wide receivers. I'm not commanding him or demanding him to go against the true number ones right now for us. If we do pick him up, he's more like the third corner, fourth corner for now, and he could develop. But I've noticed if he has to step up, if any of our corners get injured, he will struggle to try to get them down, and it's harder for him to break the ball. With the 113th pick in the 4th round, the Atlanta Falcons select cornerback DJ Turner out of Michigan. 2 reasons why I double dip in the corners, because first reason is the most important one. Our depth piece are getting old. A lot of them are not on a long-term deal, and so we need to make sure we have to go against our NFL division rivals, because their wide receivers are always legit and stacked, and they got speed, and we need to counteract with speed because our pass rushing won't get to the quarterback fast enough. So what I like about DJ's game is he understands he has to be patient. He has to learn the defense. He has to understand how to become a true corner in college and hopefully in the NFL, where in the beginning in 2019 through 2020, he only played in 8 games on special teams, but in 2021 and 2022, he finally got a shot, making 69 total tackles, 20 pass deflections, and 3 interceptions, so he clearly understands patience is key. This year was pretty awesome to watch because I got to see a lot of Michigan games this year, and definitely DJ showed the speed. It was evident. Now, apparently, he doesn't always show his reported 4.28 40-yard dash speed, but he definitely has it on tape, so that's a plus. Now, he shadows very well. DJ uses his ability to cover quickness underneath and can press off the coverage. That's very important for a corner, because you do not want to allow a wide receiver, a tight end, or a running back to get under you or get over you, and he exactly makes sure that doesn't happen. So he got target locked, but truly never got beaten to the point where it was more than 30 plus yards. So now let's talk about the weakness, and definitely flags were a major concern. I've noticed DJ draws penalties of flags early, only because of his playing style. He also hesitates when facing the action in zone coverage. One of the biggest things that Arthur Smith will have to teach him is against the run game. DJ struggles against tackling downhill running backs, like big, strengthened, 6 foot plus running backs, right? He does give effort, however. He doesn't have the power as a tackler or the ability to shed blocks, and that's what he has to work on the most, I think. With the 161 pick in the 5th round, the Atlanta Falcons select running back Chris Rodriguez Jr. out of Kentucky. I love this pick. I hope this pick comes into fruition, because he has all the tangible what Tyler Algier did when he came out of college from BYU. For 5 years, he played for Kentucky through 2018 through 2022. This man knows what he's doing. He understands what the running game is all about. And he's a leader. He's a quiet guy. And I like quiet guys who know how to play instead of chirping their mouth. And besides, I would love the Falcons to do what the Panthers did back in 2009, where they had Damian Williams and Jonathan Stewart to run over 1,000 rushing yards for each individual running back. That's what the Falcons should do. That's our bread and butter. That's the cream of the crop. That's what Arthur Smith is trying to do with his offense. To win games and hopefully win the Super Bowl, you got to control the clock, make sure you don't turn over the ball, and move the chains. And that's what Rodriguez would do, could do, should do, and will do when pairing Pair him with Algier and Cordarrelle Patterson to make a really formidable running game, and to make sure if any of the running backs do get injured this year or next year, we have a capable backup who knows the system and can just be plug-in guy. Rodriguez had a fantastic career for the Wildcats. His best season was last year with over 1,379 rushing yards and a grand total of 9 touchdowns to boot in the ground. And what I liked about last year, he did get suspended for 3 games and missed 1 game that no one really knows, but even so, he still almost clinched 1,000 yards rushing. Motor was definitely a factor when I was watching film on him. He has very good feet, good vision with techniques. He locates his holes. That's what I like to see, because that's what Tyler Algier does as well. Gets through it more quickly than you expect, considering his size, and that's what a lot of critics had for Tyler Algier when he was coming out of college. So see the resemblance there. And then he is the traditional north to south style running back, which pretty much means attacking in the line of scrimmage rather than going outside or trying to figure out which hole to develop. No, he's gonna go straight to you, head first, and make sure you're gonna pay for every time you tackle his ass. What a lot of people might not realize, these are the same problems that Tyler Algier had when he was coming out from BYU. With the fumbling problems, hands, and pass blocking are exactly the same reasons why a lot of people were nervous about him and why he was drafted in the 5th round instead of the 2nd or 3rd, or even maybe in the 1st round if you think about it. So I am confident enough that Rodriguez will do the same thing like Algier has been doing for us. With the 226th pick in the 7th round, the Atlanta Falcons select Devontae Maxwell, DL, Chattanooga. And with the 247th pick in the 7th round, the Atlanta Falcons select Charlie Thomas, linebacker out of Georgia Tech. And these 2 players will go together because this is the 7th round, and I guess most people really don't care. And to be honest with you, I don't get a lot of film from Maxwell anyways. I only had to read about what people know about him, so watching his tape was very impossible. But what I did find was on YouTube, but that only gives me a snippet. And of course, your boy Charlie Thomas, I watch all of his film. He's excellent in coverage, he's excellent in everything, but we'll get on to that point. Just want to say he has just been a baller for the ACC for all linebackers, so yeah, he definitely a squad up. For this one, I'm going to do 1 strength and 1 weakness for both players. For Maxwell, run defense was excellent, and we definitely need that as a defensive tackle / defensive end. Anybody where you can stop the run is absolutely a must. So he plays with leverage at the point of attack. Whether he's inside or outside, he can move the linemen to either side with strong hands and has the ability to wreak havoc in the backfield, and that's what you want. I don't care where you go to college. If you can ball, you get the call. That's what I truly believe, and that's what Deion Sanders does too as well. His techniques has to improve. He only knows 1 pass rush move, so when he gets to the NFL, he needs to learn more of his traits, but he can refine that easily when he gets good coaching. My dog, Charlie Thomas, is excellent in coverage, zone, man, and press. Thomas can track the ball downfield. He can get his hands around playing in the trail position, and he can show excellent ball skills when breaking on routes. Good instincts and good anticipation, reading and reacting with discipline. Thomas could have the same mantra like Luke Kuechly had when he was with the Carolina Panthers, where he knew where the ball was and he would always go towards the ball even though it wasn't at his direction. So for his weakness, I've kind of realized his size. So most time, inside linebackers usually be around 220 pounds to 245 pounds, but Thomas weighs over 207 pounds, and that's why he's ranked so low, because people are afraid that he might not have enough strength to bring down anybody. I say that's a bunch of baloney, and it's not about the size of the game, it's about the heart. Now, I'm not being like unrealistic, yeah, I understand, but he could bulk up, so that's not a problem in my mind. But you know how people fear about size when it comes to sports, and it usually proves them wrong a lot of times. Thank you guys so much for sticking out with me. I wasn't even planning on making a long video. I was hoping to be 10 minutes or less, but apparently I had too much to say and a lot of information I want to give out and really dive deep into why and explain my reasonings for these picks. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys were entertained. Hopefully you guys learned something new about these players. I really love making these type of videos. I really love you guys watching it. I really love you guys having fun and have a great day, because I know a lot of NFL fans make fun of Falcon fans, because of the Super Bowl thing, and it really sucks sometimes to embrace that, especially on Twitter. It's a cesspool over there. But on that note, thank you guys so much, and I hope I can do this again. Until the next video, what do Falcons do? Rise up. Until the next episode, show love and peace to the world, and peace.